I'd like to speak to you today about the Salary Review Commission, more commonly known as the SRC, in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, the SRC is an independent body which reviews and recommends salaries, allowances, and benefits for high-ranking public officials such as government ministers, judges, and parliamentarians. Now, the aim of the SRC is to ensure fair compensation based on the responsibilities of these roles and the country's economic conditions. Now, while the SRC's recommendations are non-binding, they very strongly influence government decisions. Now, recently, today in fact, the government accepted the SRC's recent recommendations to very significantly increase salaries for these officials. Now, this decision came after the 2024 national budget was presented in Parliament on September the 30th, and it has sparked widespread, very significant debate. Now, supporters of the salary increase will argue that the increases are very necessary to attract and retain top talent in leadership roles. Now, you would remember that recently I spoke about succession planning in the public sector and how critical that is to public sector procurements. Doing things like salary reviews are essential to succession planning because of how it does attract and retain top talent, because it makes the role more lucrative and there's a higher chance of someone remaining committed, and then you lessen the risk of disruptions between leaders. Now, on the other hand of that, critics, they're questioning the timing and highlighting the impact on public services. Now, this is particularly in the context of the government's procurement activities and the commitments which were outlined in the budget. The salary increases are going to have really serious implications for public sector procurement in Trinidad and Tobago. A larger portion of the national budget is now going to have to go towards the recurrent expenditure that is going to be required to be spent on salaries, and it's going to leave less flexibility overall to fund really crucial procurement initiatives. Now, this could lead to delays in major projects because infrastructure projects such as roadworks, school repairs, hospital upgrades, they may be postponed, or they might have to be flat out canceled due to the limited funds. And how could we possibly have critical projects like these canceled because we have to go pay somebody? Another impact for public sector procurement is the reduced scope of services. So the procurement of essential resources, such as like medical equipment, for example, any educational tools, like textbooks, any public infrastructure materials, like asphalt, for example, they may have to be scaled back. This is going to result in costlier future projects because delayed projects could become much more expensive over time due to inflation and all of the fluctuating market conditions that we're currently experiencing. And finally, we're going to have a lot of stalled innovation because when you have budget constraints, because you're having to allocate so much of it just to meet salary obligations, it's going to hinder investments in innovative or sustainable procurement solutions. And overall, what this does is impact long-term efficiency and modernization goals. Digital transformation has been huge on this government's agenda. And if we're going to scale back potentially the funds that are required to advance on that technological roadmap, we're going to be stuck in this mess of disjointed, outdated processes, and we're going to probably have to revert back to a lot of manual processes instead of advancing things like building portals to allow you to do a lot more, access a lot more of your services online. Now, with respect to procurement risks, they are actually a lot more heightened in an environment like this. If you have funds that are being redirected towards salaries, the government risks under delivering or not delivering at all on public service commitments made in the budget that was presented this year. So, for example, if you have projects that are aimed at improving healthcare access or modernizing public infrastructure, they could well face funding shortfalls. And not only does this impact the service delivery, but it also really undermines the public trust in the government's ability to balance their spending priorities. And that's something that's been an ongoing concern with respect to this current administration. There's been a lot of eyes on how priorities are determined and how funds are allocated in order to get these priorities moving. To address these challenges, the government needs to manage procurement processes much more efficiently. They need to prioritize high-impact projects, and they need to find ways to mitigate any budgetary strain caused by the salary increases. Now, if you demonstrate transparency and much-needed fiscal discipline, these things are going to be key to ensuring that procurement activities as well as essential public services are not adversely affected by this decision.